So today we're going to discuss something that I think that is pretty interesting and intriguing in one aspect or another, and that is um, the five constants, which relate to the different ways in which one can understand the ways of operating to gain one's intent or one's required outcome. So what we have is there's a multitude of things that compose of these factors, but the main key ones are heaven and earth, the commander, method and discipline, which are the five constant factors within any particular region of operations regarding whatever you like to achieve. Um, So if we consider, for example, heaven and earth is a firm grasp of the understanding of cyberspace and the observance of systems interconnected to develop a strategic method of attack. So basically, this encompasses a multitude of things, While heaven relates to timing, as that is the cycles that we operate on in this planet, regardless of place of origin or regardless of medium of communication. Everything works to the cycles of the heavens. So, the timing process in which you undertake your operations, um, your attack, like for example, throughout the period of time that we just had where a lot of people were not working, a lot of systems must have been compromised because there wasn't somebody actively monitoring that, and the whole thing was a unexpected event, an unexpected situation. So a lot of things would have happened if there wasn't appropriate automation in place. And while Earth relates to the avenue utilized as a mechanism of attack, whether be it people that do parkour, that were jumping over buildings and jumping into buildings, and getting to devices as and when needed and required, or whether or not it was through network communication systems, those boxes that you see on the side of the road. I forgot what they're called. Exchange boxes, or be it some other mechanism or some other means of attack that relates to actually getting to the point of exploitation or something of that nature, or something of a similar nature. And then we have the commander. The commander is basically the process or the teacher in one sense or another. I believe that when you have a environment in which you have a multitude of different skill sets, this generally relates to that particular niche that needs special attention. So you may be in an engagement, and you come across a particular application that you feel might be vulnerable, or web application that you feel might be vulnerable to maybe a buffer overflow via one of the custom headers that are utilized by the app or API. Then you can actually take from that, that special time, that special input, the special interest to actually generate the exploit itself, right? So that's basically just paying that special attention. Those special types of people that you might need in a group, maybe to generate a phishing campaign, you require people to actually do some HTML programming. And the commander is that person that's there for that, to understand and decide, or that aspect of the mind that's there to understand and decide how best to reach a particular situation. And also the special skill sets that may be necessary to achieve a particular thing or discipline. Then we have method and discipline is quite difficult, I think. Well, method relates to how one's gonna actually undertake a penetration test, and this could actually involve a number of different frameworks that are out there. that have been created, or wasp related things, and all the things of that nature. You gotta be smart about this because, again, like I said, in this reality we have people who are not of a true nature, so people can be easily deceived and left in the rut. And I think that overall, in our own deception or in our own capabilities or manifestations, we should be aware and be wise as to how these particular frameworks can be appropriately utilized, because I think that there's a lot of people that have access to these frameworks but they don't actually utilize them appropriately. Like, I remember the ITEL framework has been there for a long time. There's been a multitude of frameworks in play that we can think of as having some overall relevance. And discipline is basically, and I think also a method, is about the stages and phases that you undertake in your development process and in the things that you do. Overall, I believe that you just gotta be smart, and as people confront you, because if people don't confront the so when people confront you, right, and they're like, oh yeah, why is this not done, why is that not done, right, then you bring forth the method that you can express why that reason may be and why things may be. Because a lot of people, what they do is they'll discuss in the background, and it's in relating to pen testing, it's very important because people are scrutinized quite a lot, and a lot of people don't like you within organizations and things of that nature. So what you got to understand from that is that when people do all that type of stuff, you got to have your own methodology that you can bring forth to put them in a place of embarrassment, and not embarrassment, but to put them in a place of understanding, of appropriate knowledge and knowing, rather than to observe tricksters and people being tricked and then letting their mistakes affect you, right, in one sense or another. So you got to avoid that and just be in your own being. And then discipline is just basically, that plays a big part, because penetration testing is not always fun, it's not always great. So you got to be mindful, you got to be wary, you got to be conscious of how you actually discipline yourself to achieve the things that you wish to do. And I know that it can be difficult in regards to varying confusions and the mind being in a state of danger and trying to protect itself. Thus, it thinks a lot about a lot of different things. Thus, you can lose focus on the actual task at hand. So you should always be focused and stay committed and stay true to you, because there can be a world external to you that people are actually utilizing or draining your light, right? So people can do that. People can actually drain your light, because again, remember, nothing moves faster than the speed of sound or speed of light. So whichever one it is, it's very relevant, and there's a lot of things that we can get into in relation to that and how that relates to a multitude of things. So for example, if one chooses to undertake a particular task, they might not be able to undertake that particular task because, simply put, somebody something distracts them from, because what's in the mind is light, right? So what you see in your mind is light, and in that mindness, right, you can't actually manifest that thing that you wish, because an alternative distraction removes that capability from you. If that makes any, it's quite difficult to surmount and put into words, but it's this notion of reality and how everything is already happened and everything that can be is already is, and it's our being and our manifestation that creates, or we can create everything that is in our minds and bring it into reality. However, there's this notion of that sometimes you can't put things into reality because it's not moving fast enough or it's not operating fast enough, which is something that I'll look into and get a deeper understanding of and explain and expand upon. But I'm trying to really make a spiritual understanding or spiritual concept in relation to discipline, because sometimes you find that you do things and then you slowly stop, but you're not sure why you stopped, and that's all that relating to those things. Like, people can actually take that away from you just by saying that you're doing it, or just by saying that or observing it, or I don't know what they do, but you gotta stay true to your present, and God will handle most of the mechanism. They can be lost in thought due to a multitude of factors, one of the main ones being your own safety and well-being. So the mind will try to protect you, but if you try to be too fanciful and dynamic in relation to the thought processes, it becomes quite difficult to do so, because the mind won't be able to know how to protect you, that type of thing, without understanding the correct dimensions of operation. So that's that for the five constants, and this is mainly related to the operations of actually getting into the process of planning, implementation. So it's like the whole pre-stage of like planning, knowing and understanding what you're doing, who you are, and what your aims are.